Greetings duelists and welcome to another video. So, Alliance Insight reveals just arrived, and at the very end of those reveals, we got confirmation of the new wave of Mitsurugi cards that are coming in Alliance Insight. Prior to this, Mitsurugi was already looking like a very promising archetype. It had a lot of success in the past few months. It even almost won a YCS. That being said, it was not a pure build of Mitsurugi. Mitsurugi by itself is still missing a couple of cards. The wave is not complete, but the first foundation of this archetype was already really promising. Now we're going to see the new reveals and see whether or not it's going to cement this archetype. As you guys already know, in the past we've gotten support for TCG exclusives, but so far we haven't had a tier 1 TCG exclusive archetype ever since Dangers, if I'm not mistaken, which was quite a while ago. Without further ado, let's begin. The first new card is Mitsurugi no Mikoto Aramasa. This card reads, if normal or special summoned or tributed, you can add a Mitsurugi monster from your deck to your hand except Aramasa. If another reptile monster you control will be destroyed by a card or battle card effect, you can tribute this card instead. Okay, so really good card. Basically, this adds a monster. Before Aramasa, the only monster searcher that we had was the prayers and the ritual monsters. So just having another way to get to your other cards is very helpful. At first, I would have said that this card is a little bit okay, but not something that the deck desperately needed. But you'll see later on that this being a monster searcher is actually a very big deal. So, whether or not this is a staple 3 of compared to like something like Saji or Kusanagi is a little bit to be seen. However, take note, like, in order for Mitsurugi to be like workable as an archetype, you need to have a good amount of monsters as well as ritual spells. So Saji adding a spell is technically more important than Aramasa adding a monster, because we have more monsters than we have spell and trap cards. That being said, really good card. You're definitely like a staple in Mitsurugi. We're just gonna have to see the numbers. Next card, Mitsurugi no Miko Wosu. So this card reads, you can only special summon this card from your hand. Well, you can special summon this card from your hand by tributing one other reptile monster from your hand and one monster your opponent controls, but you cannot special summon or nor activate monster effects for the rest of this turn, except reptile monsters. You can only special summon Mitsurugi no Miko Wosu once per turn this way. If this card is tributed, you can discard one card, and if you do, add this card to your hand. Okay, so for context, this already makes Aramasa a better card, because this is essentially a board breaker, like against your opponent. Like, this being able to just tribute by cost a monster your opponent controls to summon itself is already really strong. What makes this card very different from something like Kaiju's? Well, for starters, it tributes your other reptiles. So let's say, for example, you open it alongside like an Ameno or a Futsu or a Saji or a Kusanagi. This triggers their effects while also getting rid of your opponent's monster. So as a board breaker, this card is already really strong. Adding to that, it has the Mitsurugi name. So you can add it with Aramasa, you can add it with prayers, you can add it with the rituals. That already turns prayers and Aramasa into potential board breakers against your opponent. which is something we haven't seen in a while when it comes to like a deck's main engine. I'd say this card's a staple, at least a one of. Really good card. Also, this being level 8 means it can be used as an entire ritual material for the other rituals. So be mindful that this can replace itself, but you have to discard a card. We'll talk about that later on. Alright, next card. Ame no Habakiri no Mitsurugi. So this card reads, you can ritual summon this with ritual. Monster your opponent control, lose 800 attack. You can reveal this card from your hand, special summon one Mitsurugi monster from your deck, then tribute one monster you control. You can only use this effect of Ame no Habakiri no Mitsurugi once per duel. If this card is tributed, you can add one Mitsurugi card from your deck to your hand, except Ame no, then special summon this card. You can only use this effect once per turn. This card's incredible. This card literally changes the entire deck. Like, the existence of this card made Mitsurugi from being semi-inconsistent to the most consistent deck ever. You'll see later on with a few other cards, but the fact that this card can just, upon reveal, summon any of these, it's already like a huge game changer. Mitsurugi was not a one card combo deck. Now it is. And not only that, this card is being a ritual monster makes Saji like a lot better than it was before this reveal. Not only that, but this makes prayers and this makes Aramasa other one card starters. And that's not even talking about other potential one card starters, like for example, like Diviner of the Herald for Herald of Arclight. It becomes a one card starter now. Pre-preparation of Rites, which will be played in this deck, is also another one card starter. Like, single-handedly the best card in the deck. This card immediately pushes the Mitsurugi deck into another level. Alright, let's talk about the rest of the cards. Magatama. So Mitsurugi Magatama reads, during the main phase, after one of these effects, tribute one reptile monster, then target one face-up card your opponent controls, destroy it. The other effect is you can ritual summon one Mitsurugi monster from your hand by tributing monsters you control whose total level equal or exceeds this level. So I really like this card. I don't think this card is as good as Prayers. However, this card is really good in the context that it's a board-breaking card with the added utility to ritual summon. And you're probably thinking, just being just able to tribute with monsters you control, like it's a little bit of a hefty cost. It should have been like other ritual spells that can tribute from the hand. Take note, like this is a quick effect. The fact that this card has those two options as effects, it makes it very versatile. It makes it really good. Also, this means that you can dodge certain cards, like with your Mitsurugi cards as well. Very similar to Prayers, you can use this card to just dodge your opponent's removal, play around your opponent's disruptions. This becomes a disruption in your opponent's turn as well. Like, just imagine having Magatama and like Ameno, like both in rotation. You can pop with the Magatama and then you can pop with the Ameno. So very strong. Another staple card in the deck. This card, Mitsurugi Mirror. So this card reads, this card can be used to ritual summon any reptile ritual monster from your hand or graveyard. You must also tribute reptile monsters from your hand or field whose total level equal or exceed the level of the ritual monster. If Ame no Mitsurugi, Futsu no Mitama no Mitsurugi, or Ame no Habakiri no Mitsurugi you control is tributed, while this card is in your graveyard, you can shuffle this card into the deck. Really good ritual spell. The first thing that this card does is it fixes one of the big issues that Mitsurugi had. One really glaring issue that we had with Mitsurugi was what happens to the ritual monsters that we used as ritual fodder, or those ritual monsters that just are already in the graveyard but didn't properly got ritual summoned. Well, this card fixes that. This card enables you to ritual for those monsters now. Adding to that, this also can ritual summon them from the hand, so this works any way similar to any other ritual spell. But more importantly, this mentions the Mitsurugi names, which means this card is searchable with pre-preparation of rights. And if we remember what we talked about involving no Habakiri, that turns pre-preparation of rights into another one card starter. Really good card. At least a one-of. The best part is that this card can recycle itself, so you really don't need multiple copies of this card. And if this card ends up getting banished, you can just recover it with Kusanagi. So, yeah, really good card. Staple one-of. Now we're going to get to the less important cards, but it's still important to talk about them. Mitsurugi Sacred Rapture Boundary is a continuous spell and it reads, your opponent cannot target Mitsurugi ritual monsters you control with the effect of monsters that was special summoned from the extra deck. You can target 4 Mitsurugi cards in your graveyard except Sacred Boundary, shuffle them into the deck, then if your opponent controls a monster, make them tribute one monster they control. You can only use this effect once per turn. This card is not that good. Like, if it just gave targeted protection to your ritual monsters from any effect, that immediately would have made this card a lot more enticing to look into. But the card really doesn't do anything by itself. It does recover your Mitsurugi resources, but in all honesty, you don't need to do that. Like, getting to the grind game with this deck is incredibly hard. Also, the grind game of this deck is incredibly powerful. Like, by the time you get to rotate through all your Mitsurugi cards, the duel should be already over. Last card, Mitsurugi Tempest. If you have a Mitsurugi ritual spell in your graveyard, tribute 3 monsters whose original name are Ameno no Murakumo no Mitsurugi, Futsumi-sama no Mitsurugi, and Ame no Awakiri no Mitsurugi. Make your opponent banish exactly 8 cards from your hand, extra field, or graveyard. You can only activate 1 Tempest per turn. Very gimmicky card. I don't think this card is necessary. I don't like that it just banishes. It doesn't banish face down. Imagine you're playing against Malice and you're just making them banish 8 of their engine cards. Very gimmicky card. I don't think this card should be played. It's a very niche, nice win condition against certain decks. The conditions for this card are not really that hard. Because just being able to cycle ritual summons in this deck is now easier more than ever. However, I don't think this card should be played. Now, what is my final verdict on these cards? Before I share my final verdict, I kind of want to share this replay. This was against a good friend of mine, Sparta, and he is playing White Forest post Alliance Insight. Like you can see here, like a lot of the White Forest cards, we lost the die roll and we opened the no non-engine. If you know anything about White Forest, this is one of the most dangerous decks to let their entire engine go through. So yeah, I'm gonna fast forward this replay a little bit. We are playtesting, so be mindful. There will be a few takebacks. But I'm just going to demonstrate something important here. So you see them like doing all their white forest rotation stuff. While they're doing all their combos, there is one thing I gotta mention. The Diabell monsters as an engine is really, really powerful. Like, okay, so I fast forwarded a little bit. I already activated Curse and I normal summoning Sagi, but if you saw the hand, it was entirely just engine cards. We are playing the Ogdoadic cards here. The Ogdoadic cards I think are still really good in Mitsurugi. Stay tuned for the next week's deck report, which will go more in depth involving the Ogdoadics. But for now, let's focus on the new content. This M board has 1, 2, 3, 4 interruptions, but it gets even worse because one of these interruptions is an entire board wipe. One of them is going to be a full board set, and they have Droll and Lockbird. So, yeah. So, we're going to fast forward here. Sagi resolves. Sagi is going to add as Mitsurugi Ritual, and now they're going to draw Lockbird. We're going to activate Mitsurugi Ritual. We're going to Ritual Summon for Futsu. We're going to send Night Sword Serpent and Kusanagi. You're probably already familiar with this play if you've already seen Mitsurugi now. They're going to Diabell to summon send the Woes, and they're going to summon Silvera. I recover the Ritual spell, Night Sword Serpent gets summoned, and now Futsu gets to trigger because they summoned the Silvera, but the Silvera also gets to trigger, so the Silvera is going to set all our monsters, and the Diabell gets to trigger as well as the Woe. So they get that back, we get all 3 sets. That's already, one of their interruptions already gone. With Futsu effect, we're going to bring back the Kusanagi. They're going to activate the Bellstar, the Vengeance. They're going to pop the Kusanagi. And now they're going to summon the Mystic Mystery of the White Forest, which is another interruption because they're going to summon the Snake Eye, Execute Dragon. So we're going to tribute the Night Sword Serpent. We're going to try to special summon Curse. The Curse gets summoned. Curse effect, we're going to try to special the Naya. They're going to use Execute Dragon, and it's going to push this to a Spell and Trap Zone. So that's another interruption out of the way. We're going to activate Ogdoadic Daybreak. We're going to tribute the Naya. Actually, we're going to tribute the Futsu. We're going to summon 3 tokens. And this is going to prompt them to use Curse of the Diabell. Because if they let all these tokens go through, like, this is just a lot of monsters we can vomit. Like, right now we're not reptile locked, so we can just summon anything from our extra deck. So they're going to nuke our entire board except for the set card, because this only takes out face-up cards, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, all face-up cards. So they already wasted their Curse of the Diabell, they already wasted their Silvera, they already wasted their Execute Dragon. What's left from our opponent's interruptions? And mind you, we are under Droll and Lockbird. So, like, normally, last format, Droll would have just demolished like this archetype. Now check this out. We're going to use Hawakiri. We're going to use Hawakiri's effect. Hawakiri is going to summon the Wosu from our deck, and Wosu is going to be triggered. So now what's gonna happen is we're going to activate the Wosu. We forgot to discard. That is very important. So we if Pretenders Ash Blossom is discarded. Again, we're going to take this back, but we now can break their entire board. The Wosu can just tribute the Amino with Haibabakiri to tribute over his Diabells, which means he has no destruction protection. And then with the Mitsurugi ritual, we can tribute the Wosu to summon Amino Mono Mitsurugi and pop the entire board. You're going to see us doing the tape backs because we just noticed it a little bit later. But yeah, we're just going to reveal. Yeah, we're sending the Wosu, and the Astral Blossom should be in the graveyard. But I just want to preface this. We broke an entire White Forest board under Droll and Lockbird with just engine cards. Now, let's go back to our final verdict. Our final verdict with this deck is, yeah, I think Alliance Insight is going to be a true game changer. And that's not just because of Ryziel and Malice. I know a lot of people are hyping up Malice, and a lot of people are hyping up White Forest. The new Regenesis cards are really strong. We also know that Life Twins might actually be a meta contender because the Fiendsmith cards were not touched. But holy, I think Mitsurugi is going to be another contender. I would be highly surprised if this does not top YCS Rhode Island. Alright, that's it for today. Stay tuned for more videos coming soon. Keep practicing and keep dueling.